Once, there was a writer renowned for her ability to craft thought-provoking essays on a wide range of topics. Through dedication and what seemed like an endless well of creativity, she had published numerous pieces that deeply resonated with her readers. But one day, she hit a wall. Inspiration, which had always come so effortlessly, was suddenly out of reach. She brainstormed different ideas, yet none felt right. Determined to push through, she scoured her bookshelves and searched the internet, hoping to stumble upon something that would reignite her creative spark. But the harder she tried, the more elusive inspiration became. A creeping sense of panic took hold. Was she running out of ideas? Had writer's block finally caught up with her? Frustrated, she took a deep breath and made an unexpected decision. She would stop forcing it. Instead, she chose to shift her focus elsewhere and let the problem rest. Then, something strange happened. While strolling through a peaceful forest, her mind free from the burden of searching for ideas, inspiration struck, suddenly and effortlessly. In that moment, she realized a peculiar truth. The more she strained to be productive, the less she was able to create. But when she stopped trying so hard and released the pressure, the words came back to her naturally. It was a paradox she hadn't considered before. She had always believed that success was a product of effort, yet here was proof that striving too hard could actually work against her. Only when she stopped obsessing over productivity did she find it again. This raises an intriguing question. What if effort alone isn't always the answer? Psychologist and author Aldous Huxley once described this phenomenon as the law of reverse effect, stating, and I quote, "The harder we try with the conscious will to do something, the less we shall succeed." End quote. So could it be that when we stop consciously trying, we actually increase our chances of success? Do results come more easily when we release the need for control? This video explores the fascinating paradox known as the law of reversed effort. Long ago in ancient China, a merchant heard rumors of a sage, one of the wisest men alive. Seeking his wisdom, the merchant sought him out, eager to prove his own success. Hoping to impress, he spoke proudly of the fortune he had amassed in his latest trade deal. The sage listened, but remained unimpressed. Sensing this, the merchant extended an invitation. He wanted the sage to visit his grand home and witness firsthand the vast riches he had accumulated over the years. Yet even then, the sage's expression did not change. Instead, he posed a simple question. "Why are you trying so hard to impress me?" The merchant hesitated, unsure of how to respond. Seeing his confusion, the sage reminded him of the words of Lao Tzu. Those who try to outshine others dim their own light. Those who call themselves righteous fail to see how wrong they are. Those who boast of their accomplishments diminish the things they have done. End quote. We've long been taught that success is the result of effort. But in many cases, effort, especially when fueled by the need for validation, can backfire. The merchant was eager to win the sage's approval, but the more he tried, the less impressive he became. The sage's words reveal a deeper truth. The harder we push our accomplishments onto others, the less they seem to matter. If success speaks for itself, why do we feel the need to announce it? Those who constantly seek the spotlight often raise suspicion. What are they trying to prove? Are they compensating for something? When someone repeatedly insists on their worth, it suggests they don't fully believe in it themselves. Paradoxically, the more we strive to convince the world of our value, the less valuable we appear. The merchant, had he not been so eager to impress, could have let his achievements reveal themselves naturally. That alone would have earned the sage's respect, not just for the success itself, but for what it implied about his character. A person who does not feel the need to brag demonstrates confidence, humility, and a sense of detachment from material wealth and status. And so the law of reversed effort struck again. By caring too much about the sage's approval, the merchant had unknowingly sabotaged his own goal. When it comes to our psychological well-being, the law of reverse effect seems to play a significant role. Often, the harder we try to control our mental states, the more we end up standing in our own way. In his blog, The Runaway Mind, Professor David Clark explores how excessive effort can make it harder to overcome emotional distress. He asks the reader, "Have you ever choked under pressure, whether during a contest, an exam, or a job interview?" He writes, You may have spent a long time preparing for this moment. You reminded yourself over and over that you had to do your best. You could feel the intense pressure. All your attention and energy were channeled into your performance. With great effort and determination, you stepped forward, but then disaster struck. You blew it. You messed up and experienced one of the most shameful moments in your life. End quote. According to Clark, this phenomenon, known as the mental control paradox, also applies to managing emotional distress. When we try too hard to suppress negative thoughts, we often make them worse. The more we struggle to push them away, the stronger they become. In this way, the mental control paradox aligns with the law of reverse effect. The harder we fight our own minds, the less control we actually have. Scientific research backs this up. Humans are far better at generating thoughts than suppressing them. The moment someone tells you not to think of a pink elephant, what happens? You think of a pink elephant. This highlights a key psychological truth. What you resist persists. Ironically, the best way to let go of an intrusive thought isn't to fight it. It's to stop caring about its presence. When we stop trying to force it away, it naturally fades. But the law of reverse effect doesn't just apply to mental control, it also explains the creative process. As we saw in the story at the beginning of this video, creativity and forced effort don't always mix. Sometimes the best way to achieve a breakthrough is to stop trying so hard and simply let inspiration flow. While people are naturally good at generating thoughts, forcing ourselves to come up with a creative solution, idea, or moment of inspiration often backfires. The harder we try, the more elusive creativity becomes. Julia Cameron, the versatile artist and teacher, explores this idea in her book The Artist's Way, writing, "All too often we try to push, pull, outline, and control our ideas instead of letting them grow organically. The creative process is a process of surrender, not control. Mystery is at the heart of creativity, that and surprise." End quote. Many of us have experienced this firsthand. Our best ideas often come to us when we're not actively searching for them. Whether it's during a relaxing shower, a quiet walk through the forest, or those fleeting moments before sleep, inspiration tends to emerge when we let go. It's as if, by ceasing to care so much about finding the idea, we create the space for it to arrive on its own. The ancient Taoists understood this principle well. They observed that when we become too fixated on the outcome, we risk sabotaging our own performance. A story from the Taoist scripture Zhuangzi illustrates this with the tale of a skilled archer. During practice, he shot with perfect precision. But when competing in a tournament for a prize, he faltered. His focus on winning made him tense, and his performance suffered. This speaks to a fundamental truth. When we care too much about the result, we become anxious. Even if we're fully capable of completing the task, a sense of urgency takes over. Our minds shift away from the present moment, dwelling on future expectations or past mistakes, and in doing so, we lose our flow. We often assume that the more we worry about a task and its consequences, the more control we gain, and the higher our chances of success. But in reality, the opposite is true. The more we worry, the more we try to control, and the more likely we are to hinder our own performance. This is yet another example of the law of reverse effect. The harder we chase success, the more it slips through our fingers. When we become overly fixated on the outcome, we tend to push ourselves in ways that actually obstruct our progress. The ancient Taoists understood this all too well. Instead of striving forcefully, they advocated for wu wei, or effortless action. Athlete Christopher Berglund explores this concept in Psychology Today, explaining how optimal performance, often described as being in the zone, emerges paradoxically when we stop striving for it. He writes, "It may seem counterintuitive, but a non-striving mindset, also known as wu wei, increases an athlete's chances of getting in the zone, performing effortlessly, and winning. The paradox of wu wei is that striving less, not trying harder to win at all costs, often generates more success." End quote. When we examine this state of effortless action, we see that it's marked by the absence of distracting thoughts about the past or future. Even though wu wei naturally leads to what we call results, those results are not the focus. They exist in the background, while our full attention is absorbed in the present task. In this state, the pianist becomes the music, the writer becomes the story, and the soccer player becomes the game. The task no longer feels like a task, it becomes an extension of the self. Without worry about future achievements or past failures, the mind is free from interference, allowing performance to flow naturally, and paradoxically, that's precisely what enhances it. In essence, once we stop caring so intensely, results tend to come naturally. The mental and physical obstacles we create by fixating on outcomes disappear, allowing for pure, responsive action in the present, and effortless interplay with the moment as it unfolds. Take driving, for example. To navigate a car safely, we must remain responsive to our environment. While there are patterns and general rules, every moment on the road is unique. The specific highway conditions, the surrounding cars, the drivers inside them, their reactions, all form an unpredictable, ever-changing symphony that we cannot fully anticipate. Yet, our minds often attempt to control the future by crafting detailed predictions, rehearsing potential scenarios, and mentally cycling through our responses. But when the moment actually arrives, these carefully constructed blueprints often prove useless. Worse, all that mental preparation distracts us from what's actually happening, preventing us from responding in real time. However, when we let go of this mental firewall, we create space for the environment to come in, allowing us to react to reality rather than our imagined version of it. Philosopher Dr. Wei-Lian Chong highlights the importance of this openness in relation to Wu Wei, stating, "No matter if it's about politics, governance, diplomacy, or any other activity, what Zhuangzi calls Wu Wei is this ultimate receptive and responsive way of action, from a crystal clear openness in yourself, one with the breathing of the cosmos." End quote. Whether we examine the mental control paradox or the Taoist principle of Wu Wei, both reveal how our own thoughts can become the very thing that hinders us. The more we care, the more we ruminate, and the more these thoughts obstruct our ability to act effectively, aligning perfectly with the law of reverse effect. Ironically, by letting go of our obsession with results, we are more likely to achieve them. Success doesn't come from endlessly thinking about it or desperately longing for it, it comes from action. And the more we fixate on the outcome, the less we engage in the very actions that lead to it. Caring too much makes the archer in Zhuangzi's story tremble, the soccer player miss a penalty, and the writer stare at a blank page. Thank you for watching.